NIO will have their earnings. This is going to be Wednesday, November 20th before the market opens. And interestingly enough, I don't know if anybody else caught this, the cadence changed here for NIO. If you look back at the recent earnings this last year, you had September 5th, June 6th, March 5th, December 5th. And so I was anticipating somewhere around December 5th, maybe the fact that this one is going to be November 20th, a little earlier, a couple of weeks earlier, really, than what they would have done if they'd kept with the same cadence. Maybe that means there are some positive surprises or some good things to share. Or maybe NIO and William Lee are just that busy that they needed to schedule it whenever they could. That's also possible. I want to pivot real quick, though. Let's talk about NIO and a hybrid. Have you seen this? I've been seeing a lot of sources, quote unquote sources, suggesting that NIO is going to come out with a hybrid vehicle in the future. And until I hear it from NIO, I don't buy it. But I also have some simple logic that I want to share that ties in with that, and also why I think the energy play for NIO is much, much bigger than what anyone is probably going to recognize for a while. So let's start with NIO Power in Europe. NIO Power now has 58 power swap stations in Europe. And with that, I'm thinking a couple of things. First of all, they don't need to come out with a hybrid model if they have power swap station infrastructure already done. And they're obviously going to continue to build that out, especially if we consider Envo, the L60 was just released. They're ramping deliveries. They will get to mass market deliveries at some point, probably in 2025 in China. And who knows when they start selling that in Europe. But the nice thing is that's going to be a very affordable, very nice vehicle option for folks who don't want to drop the money on a NIO in Europe. And the power swap infrastructure is already there. So they don't need a hybrid there. One thing that I keep in mind is NIO has an advantage over everyone else because of their upgradable, swappable battery technology and their battery as a service, the BaaS, which is frankly the reason I started doing content in the first place. That flexibility, that optionality gives NIO a better price point that they can offer to a consumer, a user, a buyer who just chooses to not buy the battery and rent the battery instead. That changes the price point quite a bit. Now, even if Envo is still going to be considered expensive with tariffs and whatnot, how about Firefly? That's coming out in 2025, excuse me. And that is going to be even more affordable. Again, the advantage for NIO is their flexibility, their optionality with battery as a service. This is huge. And so I don't know why they would mess with that, but that's, just talk about Europe and the expansion there. So now let's talk and pivot over to the Middle East, because if the idea is that maybe the partners want NIO to focus on a hybrid model because they think it won't make sense to build out the power swap stations, I would say, let's go back to 2023. By the way, I don't think even 1% of NIO investors are aware of this. Not even 800 views on this video. I've shared it. I think this is the fourth time I've shared it, but this was the pilot project as I see it. This was NIO creating with their partners the world's first PV self-consumption system with V2G charger. This is the project here. And I'll share all this links in the description so you can check them out for yourselves. But this was the first time it's been done. I think this was NIO testing it out, right? Kind of like early on, when they started doing the power swap stations, the battery swap stations, they were testing it out to see how it would go. You got to, do the pilot program part, and then you build out and make it into a much larger market. So with the energy play that NIO has that is largely unrecognized, how does it work when, let's say, and this could be the validation here of what I'm thinking, that in the Middle East, it's going to make a lot of sense to set up these power plants that are virtually going to be able to stand on their own if they build this out and take advantage of solar panels in the Middle East, where there's a lot of sun. So this is the Guangdong Power Grid Electric, NIO's first charging partner, and they're talking about continuing to work with NIO to build out solar panel storage and charging energy network. This is in line with what I said before, that pilot project that very few people are even aware of, even though I keep talking about it here. But hey, I don't mind knowing that I'm early or thinking that because no one is even aware of this stuff, it has to be early. The question I have is, will this make enough of a difference? Are these standalone projects going to make sense and create another power source and an energy storage source within the Middle East, let's say? And how does that work? I don't know for sure that everything's going to go in that direction, but this is just my sort of initial thinking and reaction to this idea of a hybrid model for NIO. Just doesn't make sense. I don't think they need that. There's a lot more content that I need to come back with, but at this stage, I just wanted to get this video out because I keep seeing this quote unquote news about a NIO hybrid, and I don't buy it, but Tell me what your thoughts are. Drop it in the comments. I want to hear from you. Thanks. I'll be back with more content over the weekend. Have a great day. I'll see y'all again very soon.